Hey, well, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you with us this afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. Welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am Omar Stennett, and this is our Friday JPL, big name that now, JPL review and preview show, looking back at the last round and looking ahead to the round coming up this week. And I have a very special guest with me, my friend, very good manager. In fact, his team, in my own personal ratings, I believe his team played the best football. And I think they'll be going up against one of the teams that played some really, really good football in the last round. And so, yeah, so get yourselves ready. We're going to start in around 3 minutes, and I will invite him on to join me. He's already here, but we have our little intro that we play. So let me just play that for you. Now, remember, once you come on, make a comment, let us know that you're on. Yeah, man, for our show today. Going through the Premier League games for last weekend and for this weekend. So, yeah, man, let me just introduce you properly to I Am Sure Sports. Here we go.
I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is Writers representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here. For the day done, you are gonna love over your son.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crapper players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.
All right, so there you go. That is our promo video. Without any further ado, let me add to our stream my friend, Mr. Rudolph Speid. The team that everybody is saying played the best football last weekend. Yeah, he is a director of that's it, the position is that you're the director of football, right?
I'm the sporting director.
The sporting director at Cavaliers. What do you make? Let's just get right into it. I mean, how your day going?
Hectic. We had to do tests. We testing today, and we had a little training session afterwards. But otherwise, it's fine.
So every weekend, you're tested.
Yes, every weekend for now we test. We have to be testing. The good thing about last weekend though was really good news for us. All participants, both players, officials, everybody, they were negative. There was no positive test among our little cadre of persons involved in the sport.
Okay. And what about this week? The results are not back yet.
Not yet. We're hoping to do the same. And I suppose, we could ask the government why we're testing after that, but it's very positive. It is really positive, negative news.
And I don't think, I have not heard any reports of any of the clubs having any positive tests from the first round, though, which is really good if that is the case. For us.
No, I'm reporting that was the case because we got all the tests and all the clubs were negative. All the players, all the management, all the coaches, everybody was negative.
Whoa.
In the first round.
That is awesome. That is good. That is good news because I think if we can run this 2 to 3 weeks with no positive tests, then, like I said, that maybe the weekly one will not be as needed. and maybe it is done on a I don't know, bi-weekly basis to kind of save some funds, because it must be an expensive venture to be testing every week. Yeah, I wasn't saying it may be a very expensive venture to be testing every week. So maybe if you do a couple of rounds without any positive, it could be extended to 2 weeks or probably 3 weeks before tests are due again.
Well, it's not a maybe. It is a very expensive venture. It's something that we'd like to get rid of. But, I mean, we understand. We are probably the guinea pigs too. So it's good for us to get back these type of results, so other persons in the sport can, point to us and say, we're doing some good stuff over there. Can, they start, have a return to sports too. Because as you said, we can't be selfish. All the persons are sports persons and we want them to play.
Yeah, but what are your views of the first week? Like, not just before we come to your club in particular, what are your views of the first week of the league?
Well, I would venture to say that for our first week game, when most clubs are not as fit as they should be, the standard was pretty decent. I would say that looking at all the clubs, I wouldn't be complaining too much. If this was a normal season, I would expect the same thing to happen. Some club would be a bit more prepared than others, mainly because some coaches have more skill and some clubs have more organization. So this is not anything new. This always happens every first, match of the season. I thought some clubs were a bit off because you could see that they lacked a little fitness, but generally, I think it is the same.
Okay. Yeah, I think the only glitch that I observed was the first game that was played. I think the ambulance, for whatever reason, turned up late, and so the game had to be delayed by around 15 minutes. But outside of that, I must say I was very impressed with the commentary, just the whole visual, how the information is presented, where they do the build up to the stuff, the teams are outlaid. In terms of on the broadcast with players in their positions, the talk, so the whole marketability of the league is looking a whole lot better. I think the officiating, for the most part, I thought was good. The surface, I think great surface, but I kind of felt like some of the teams, the players were struggling on the surface. Did you observe that, or you think?
Right.
Teams
So
struggle?
just to talk about the ambulance actually met into an accident, or almost met into an accident on its way there. A minor accident. As you know, those things they had to delayed it. They were not late any other day. It was a minor mishap, but as you quite rightly said, after that things went smoothly. The players was eager to play. You could see the relief on the players' faces once they started playing. The organization was good. Yes, the surface, a lot of us not used to the surface, but at the same time, it is refreshing to know that all the matches are played on a similar surface. The ball would bounce through. It will bounce different from on grass, but it will bounce through. And I think some players were able to express themselves. And I think all in all, yes, it was really a good starting point. And we're just happy to be playing football at this particular time.
Yeah, man. And then I also like the fact that they had the water breaks. I guess because of the schedule, because they had the water breaks during the games. And I think teams are allowed 5 substitution, which I think is which is
5 substitution is allowed. And yes, we did have the water break, although it's the referee's prerogative if he wants to take it or not. It's not a rule.
Okay.
So some referee did it, some didn't. But whatever it is, I don't have an issue because all the teams are playing in the same condition. So if one team didn't get a water break, it means that the other team didn't either. So that was good. All in all, I think everybody wanted to be on that showpiece event. Referees, official, everyone, and I think it paid off at the end. We're very pleased with the first round. We're still looking at the negatives and trying to fix them as we go along. So we're very pleased with the first round.
Yeah, man. Yeah, really good. Really good. I mean, argues well for the league. I hope by people seeing this, more sponsors will probably come on board. I really hope, though, and I think someone else is just saying this, a coach's desk is also saying the surface thing should go forward. And I agree with that going ahead, we should have our league played on the best surfaces across the island. If there's a way that we could do that, I think it would be better for the
Well,
league itself and better for the players.
well, you see, what we tried to do this year is to turn the league into a television product because we didn't have spectators. So clearly, if you're going to be banking on having a television product where there's no fans, then clearly the venue surface is a big part of that product. So you couldn't be carrying the league somewhere that when you're shooting it, you're seeing somebody's toilet.
Yeah.
Or you're seeing the cars driving on the road. I mean, it's very unsightly. So clearly, this was a step up. This product could rival with some that we have seen overseas based on the location, based on how it is shot, based on the scenery, based on the quality of the pitches. So for a television product, this is the only way you could do it. You couldn't just carry it anywhere where we are seeing dirt patches, So as I said before, there was a lot of planning going into it. It shows that Jamaicans can plan, good events,
Yeah.
and we just need to continue. As you quite rightly say, we probably only have 4 venues of that quality in Jamaica, and I think we should try and stick to them as much as possible until other venues has improved their surfaces.
And so this week round of games will be at the same venue, or when do we move to the Nationals? Because the National Stadium is also one other venue that was listed. Will that happen anytime soon, or are we just sticking to this venue right now?
No, the fixtures shows us moving around from the Captain Burrell Center to the National Stadium to Stadium East. Those are the 3 best venues we have that are near to the teams. The other good venue is Kitchener, but it's far away. There is no Montego Bay team or team in Westmoreland close to that venue. So those are the 3 venues we're going to be using. Those are the 3 venues that is on the fixture. I think this week, though, we're going back to Captain Burrell.
Captain Burrell, yeah.
The fixtures did show National Stadium, but I think we're going back there because, the weather and that's an all-purpose track, and it could be better.
That's what
we're expecting some showers.
Yeah, because that's what I want you to talk about, because the fact that it's not a spectator event, as long as it is not wind and lightning, if it's just rain, you can play the game still. You don't have to put them off, especially because already a truncated season, you don't want to have to be pushing back games. So what if it is raining? Can all the games be played on this surface without damaging it?
Well, one of the main things that will damage the surface is if you use pegs. There are certain type of footwear that you shouldn't be using on it, because once you skid, you dig out pieces of it. And if you do, but as with these venues, you can repair them, but you have to repair them properly at a cost. So certain footwear is banned from going on the turf. And it's just for us to enforce that ban, just from the coaching or the club point of view, to ensure that our players don't have those footwear. And also the match commission and the referees. The referees in charge of equipment based on the 17 FIFA referee rules. So if they see somebody with the wrong equipment, they can always send them off the pitch. I think they should enforce it so that people will take notice and ensure that, they play with proper footwear so as not to damage the pitch. Remember, this is the only FIFA-approved synthetic turf
in the Caribbean.
Field in the Caribbean. We just need to make sure we take care of it.
Yeah. All right, that's good. Well, I mean, let's get more specific. I mean, let me say, so I have the best game last week. The 2 teams I thought played the best football would be Portmore and Cavaliers. I thought Harbourview also looked well, and incidentally, you're playing Harbourview. I think that Changai scored a very good goal. Atkinson played well for your team, scored a goal, and I think he was either the direct or he assisted the person who assisted the second goal. and that guy from Portmore, Emilio Rosso. I gave him, though Atkinson goal was a good build-up, but I gave Emilio Rosso the goal of the round. I think he scored from around 25 yards out from a set play. But what are your thoughts on the first week in terms of teams and my assessment? Okay.
I have to disagree with you right away.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
You couldn't find 10 persons in the world who could make that pass that Atkinson made. And that is why I'm disagreeing with you. I mean, did you really look at the pass? There's not 10 persons in the world who could make that pass. So,
brilliant
and the
pass.
guy just get around the keeper and sat it in. So I have to give that the goal of the round.
all right. Cool. Not a problem. All right, so the goal of the round, you give it to, that's your second goal. That's the second goal you're talking, right?
So, the pass, not the right. So, but Russell effort was magnificent, just because he had the audacity to believe that he could beat a quality goalkeeper.
All right, so we're having a little.
Sorry, you hearing me now? Hello?
Yeah, man, you're breaking up. I'm hearing you now. Go ahead. Yeah, man, go ahead. I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
I think Russell actually surprised the keeper, and the keeper saw it late. So by the time he took off, the ball was on its way, and he was not able to save it, although he touched it. Really, I like the way that young man think that he could beat him from that distance. So no. I'm taking nothing away from the goal. The goal also, but the Aberview player scored Chung. That again was a well hit set play, which it looked almost unstoppable in a way. So the truth is, you saw enough, right, to feel that there's more to come. The Aberview team was so good against Waterhouse, and Waterhouse is always a quality team. So you saw enough. Tivoli gave a good account of themselves, although we thought they probably wouldn't have been as fit as Mount Pleasant, but they also give a very good account of themselves.
I am going to get to that game, because my major disappointment was with that game, but I'm going to get to it. You just go ahead.
Right, but so I think that all in all, I am just pleased that we started. We wanted to have more goals, as you know, league with goals. People want to see those leagues, so the goals was kind of hard to come by, but they'll come. I'm not worried.
Yeah. Well, you have a well, I don't know if you consider it a tough game, but in my estimation, you should have a tougher challenge. Let me put it that way this weekend, because it's the Young Bucks, Cavaliers versus Aberview, because I think you guys. Let me just say this: one of the things I love about what is happening is that I saw so many young players or new players in almost all the teams, with the exception of probably Mount Pleasant. Even the Tivoli teams had a lot of new young faces. Your team, I mean, a lot of young faces. Harborview had a lot of young faces. Portmore had some young faces. I know they had a local youngster, I think, from a Clarendon College, the guy called Reed. So
Omar Reed.
Right. I am so happy that, in fact, 3 of the goals are scored by young guys. The 3 goals we speak of, Emilio Rosso, one by Atkins. I mean, your 2 goals are by youngsters, and the Harborview goal. I mean, so what do you have to say about that? The amount of youth that this season is allowing to come up through the ranks.
Well, I'm just happy that they're following us. I mean, but I'm always one of those persons that believe that is how you have development. I can remember looking at all the players who come through the system. They started to play at 16, 17. All the great players, Pele, Wayne Rooney, Messi, Maradona, you just name them. They are in a senior team by the time they are 17 years of age. So even some of our youngsters that are 19, they should have been in the teams already from an earlier age. So I am really pleased to see what I was feeling as a 16-year-old. I can't remember they have ever done that for the longest while. We feel a 16-year-old also. So I'm going to say,
Mount Pleasant brought on a number 7, Devante. I think he's 16 as well. Yeah.
So it is catching on, and I believe it augurs well for the game. And this is how players learn and develop. I mean, they don't have to play a lot of games; they just have to play enough to understand what they'll be playing in the future. So it's good for all those youths that get a chance to play. I think too, without relegation this year, clubs more can take the chance and play these players some more. And it's just refreshing because what we're really building is future stars, and the league needs stars, you know.
Yeah. And that is so. So this week you take on Harborview, the team from the East versus the team that plays at Stadium East. Yeah, how have you been preparing for that game? And yeah, man, any thoughts you want to share? I know you can't.
Well, we saw that the boss possession against Waterhouse. I mean, you know, in the first half especially, Waterhouse adjusted in the second half and pressed them a little bit higher up the pitch. We could play the same. Either way, we could allow them not to play, or we could allow them to play. But for this year, I must tell you that we're not too concerned about how anybody is playing. We are more concerned in doing what we are supposed to do. So we're not going to be particularly coming to say let us stop their style. I think the league is early, and what we need to do is to stamp our authority on the leagues, do what we want to do, and kind of, instead of us trying to, you know, play catch up with other teams, let them try and play catch up with us, because we have a quality team, and we believe that we're a little bit different from all other teams. So we just come in to do what we do best and allow the other team to work. The truth is we have trained our team to play in different styles. So it's a matter of executing on it. So we see what Harborview had to offer. Very good team. Pass well. Very, very good team. But we have quality too, and we're going to be putting them on show.
And you feel that is a St. Lucian in centre back for the last game? Is St. Lucian? I think he's St. Lucian.
Yes.
How old is he?
Some of us club owners, you know, when we were talking about the league, if you notice Portmore Field too, we believe that for it to be a truly professional league, international league that people want to watch, we have to have other nationalities playing in the league. I mean, we don't want them to overtake our players. And as I say, we actually have a quota of 6. Every team can have 6 players from in the CARICOM region, or any player, international player, to come and play on our shores. And we believe that that is the way to go. And we are just doing our part. You know, we were contacted, you know, and asked if we could, you know, Doxley could come across and chat with us. And we say, yes, Portmore did the same thing. And we're hoping that other clubs in the country will do the same thing. I was told that every single person in St. Lucia was watching the games when Doxley and the 2 players from Portmore were playing. So just imagine if we had a player from Guyana or a player from Trinidad, then, you know, quite right, our television product will be better because more people will be watching it and we'll be able to earn more money from that revenue. Just imagine if we have somebody from China, you know, or Japan playing. So these are some of the things that we have to look at if we want to grow the league. Stop thinking too local and pro-local, even although we have to protect our local talent then at some point.
I know that Mount Pleasant apparently has the guy, but I think the players that Mount Pleasant have from out of the Caribbean, they are at the Gold Cup. I think they play a Gold Cup game, but they have a couple from Guyana. I think the Guyana national goalkeeper is part of their setup, and 2 other players there. So that you say is very good, because then once it goes on TV, you have those nations, your viewership increases, and the league gets more popular, more people come in. I like the look of it. But how do you assess Doxley in his first game playing in Jamaica? Yeah. How do you assess his performance? And how old is he?
You know, when you called me, I was just trying to get I was just trying to look at the game, you know, because I just got it, and I was going to look, but from my scout who was in the stands, he told me that Doxley had a good game. I haven't really read the report I did read the report, but I didn't really see a visual for myself. So I'm in the I'm in the process of looking through the games now tonight, because we have 2 more training sessions, and then I'll try and correct what I saw. But from all indications, I heard and what I saw, but I'm not really looking at the individual play a lot of the times when we're playing. I'm looking at structures, etc., what is happening. So I didn't get to assess him 100%, but I was told that he had a good game, and from what I saw, I didn't see anything alarming. He made his passes, did what he was
Yeah,
supposed to
I
do.
just want to say, from what I counted, he never had any turnover.
Right.
I mean, I don't see everything, but from what I saw, he never had any turnover, because I was checking turnovers for one of the teams that I really looked at, like Mount Pleasant, and I think, because for me, I think the team that I was most disappointed with was Mount Pleasant, because I know they have the resources to be in preparation. To me, it seemed like the same bunch of players. It is the first game, so I'll give every team, I give every team, everybody get where this week. Let's put it at that. Everybody get where but I expected a whole lot more. I expected more from Kevin Isaacs, who wear the national colors. I expected more from Daniel Green, who have been called to the under-20 national team. I expected more from Rankin. When you get called for your national team at any level, when you step into this league, it must be seen. You have to stand out and distinguish yourself. I cannot have Jeremy Johnson at 41 running a midfield against my defensive midfielder in my national team. That is my perspective. And I don't want to beat no player too hard, but you understand me. You don't have to take it on because you're still in the league, but I can speak to it because I was not happy with that. And I think when you wear the national colors, I need to look at you on a field, not knowing that you have been called for Jamaica, and say, hold on, this man play for the national team. I should be able to see that. And I can't say I saw that in some of the players who have been called to the national team who played. And maybe it's the first game and I need to give them a little break and ease them up. But no, this.
Yeah, man, I think you should give them a breather. I think you should, because they haven't played for 14 and a half months. So, even with practice games, we didn't get to play a lot of practice games either, because remember, the government wasn't allowing us. So most people came in with just squad match preparations, I mean, people not playing against them in hunger. And it takes something off how you play. I see somebody asking me if I like the number 6. Yes, when I played right through my career, I wear the number 6. I'm known as D6.
oh, you like the number 6?
Yeah, I use the number 6. I play. So I don't know if you mean if I like my number 6. I know my number 6.
Who is your number 6?
Well, Ricochet Murray, he was brilliant right throughout the game until he came up with about 4 minutes ago. He was like, I can't remember him putting a foot wrong.
I think he's saying that he likes your number 6, man, Ricochet Murray. Brilliant game.
Yeah, he was my man of the match until Dwayne Atkinson took over the show.
Yeah, I think Atkinson is the man of the match. I mean,
he's man of the round.
Yeah, well, yeah. Of course, he had the best performance of the round, I would say. Very, very, very exciting play. I'm looking forward to. I hope he can stay injury free. But I see a lot of potential, and this is from when he was in high school. Somebody was saying that my comment about the players who play for the national team, and stuff, that my comments are true. Listen, all I'm saying is that it's the first week, but Kevin Isaac, for example, and I don't want to be too hard. You just came back from Japan, my brother. Rickard, Jeremy and Johnson should have known that you are national. That means something. And maybe he's fatigued, but that's supposed to mean something. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, man. But so that's a big game. Arnett Gardens, I mean, they play this week because they had a bye week, really. They had a bye week because Huey's out, so they play Tivoli Gardens.
So they are the luckiest team. I don't know if it's lucky or if it's unlucky because they wouldn't have had the match practice. But they were able to see what their opponent was doing last week. So, I mean, I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage, but one thing I know, they had a seat that they could just look down on Tivoli and to see what Tivoli was doing. So they'll be able to be better prepared. Remember, none of us the first round knew what was going to happen. We just went into the game and had to just play. You know, people probably started to coach in half time because the first half was just a feel out type of process. So on it as an advantage, or it could be a disadvantage because they have not played. But let's see.
Yeah. Oh, somebody was saying that when you mentioned 6, you were talking about the 6 players from overseas. So you love the number 6. 6 is real. 6 is real.
Yeah. So well, you know, again, if people remember what England did to us in cricket, they put in a quota. It was 2, then they break it down to 1. So quota is all over the world. Yeah, you know, quota is all over the world.
Yeah, but our next big game will be that Dumbeholden versus Waterhouse because some of the Waterhouse player actually they moved. I think the manager at Dumbeholden, Christie, he was at Waterhouse at some point.
Christie used to be a goalkeeper, a reserve goalkeeper at the Waterhouse, so he was there as a player.
Right.
Then he was there. I'm not sure if he was the manager, but he was one of the managers.
Part of the management,
then he went over to Dunbeholden. And true to form, Christie is my friend, but he take away a lot of good players from Waterhouse to carry over to Dunbeholden. So
that's what I said.
This should be something that is worth watching. I don't know what the result is gonna be. I must tell you, in my mind, Dunbeholden has one of the best team on paper. If you look on their team on paper, they have one of the best teams. Waterhouse is rebuilding, but Waterhouse is a quality team and their coach is quality. That's Marcel Gill. So
yeah,
it's gonna be that's one to watch. I'm telling fans, watch that. It's gonna be interesting, intriguing, mystery, everything. We're all going to want to see what the Waterhouse players at Dunbeholden, what they're going to be doing against Waterhouse. I mean, I want to see if the Waterhouse players that have been left behind, they want to, you know, take out some of their positives. But I'm telling you, this is one of the games that you want to see because of the rivalry.
You make it sound like the rapture take place here, man. Yourself, those left behind. But I think that game and the Harbour and your game, I think there are some good games this round because the St. Catherine Derby is also going to be good. This Dumbeholden Portmore, because the same thing kind of happened. Players move between Dumbeholden and Portmore, and they beat as well. So there are a couple of derbies. This is like Derby weekend, right? Because you have the Garden Derby, you know, with Arnett Gardens and Tivoli Garden. You have the St. Catherine Derby with Dumbeholden versus Portmore United. You understand me? You have because you remember now Mount Pleasant had taken a couple of players from Humble Lion. Swaby was at Humble Lion, Kevin Isaacs was at Humble Lion, Campbell was at a lot of these guys came over to Mount Pleasant. So you have Mount Pleasant, Humble Lion, then you have Harbourview Cavaliers. You have Veer versus Portmore. I think it's Veer versus Portmore. And, you know, Veer is Clarendon, and there's normally that Clarendon thing. So it's Dookie versus Bibi. Bernard versus Speed. Yeah. Teagot versus Andrew Price. So some mouth-watering fixtures this weekend. But you want to take this, Mr. Speed? This is from Formula Sports. Asking if, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you think the year and a half with no league football affected Atkinson's development?
I think a lot. Last year after Manning Cup, he played 11 games. He scored 3 goals, but I think he was just getting into his stride as a senior player. The rest of that season would have seen him really matured up. I think though that he would have wanted to go back to school after to play out his last year of Manning Cup. It would have been difficult. So I don't think he would have developed properly playing in there because he was so far ahead of most players. So, but what we did this year, if you notice, he has a lot of improvement. His turnover rate was like 1 ball turnover this time over all the plays he made. That we have improved on, because even with the pandemic down, we still had a few little small sessions trying to get the players to concentrate, trying to get them to improve without actually playing games. In other areas, get them, the 5 C's, or the 5 C's in their heads. So I think it affected him, but I think he's a much more mature person now than when he used to play. He was always a mature person, but he's much more mature. He knows what he wants to do, and he does it every day, every single day at training. So it does, but I would say it would have affected his development. I would say less than 5%, if I have it around here, less than 5 out of 10. I think he did well with it.
In terms of his development. Okay. All right. Here's the next. I kind of know the answer to this one, but I'll allow you to deal with it.
Listen to me. I have a factory. Billy says Atkinson alone. Did you notice the player named Richard King at the back, that he made his debut, and he was in, they thought he would have been in the All Premier League team as a defender. That's a tall center of Richard King. He was, never make one pass wrong for the whole 90 minutes. He's something else. But, young Cleo Clark that came on, he was 16 years of age, a top talent from Glenmore and Clarendon, who is the son of the former national player that played for Portmore, AJ Reid. We have Christopher Ainsworth, another 16-year-old. He's just amazing for his age. We have
Mito.
a player called Zidane. I don't remember him right name now.
You remember Mito that play forward? What's his?
Who?
From Frome, the center forward.
Yeah,
from
we have
Frome.
Mito. We have Rochester. You name them, we probably have them. And but we have Ronaldo Webster. We have Russell of Wolmer's, that the number, I think you said we were 11 when he plays for Wolmer's. We have that player too. Nico Shemur, as we mentioned before, is our number 6. So we have a lot of players who you haven't even seen yet, waiting in the wings, waiting for the turn, to come, come and play for the senior team. What we have to be looking at is to have a second team, a second reserve team, so we can continue.
Second reserve team. Boy, the plan look like it's well the way you hear that, people. A second reserve team.
But we have a factory.
The factory
we
working.
Have a factory.
But like I said,
you'll see them this week. You're going to see a new young player. We have a factory.
Okay. What I love about, like I said, what has happened is that the year off kind of expired some players. Like some players did not come back. Either they moved overseas, they gave up on football, or they were drinking too much of you and I know what. And so the belly weight is too much for them to get off. And so that has caused the emergence of several young players. And I'm happy for that, because it argues well. And maybe we really needed a break off for certain people to come out of the league and bring in a fresh set of youngsters. I think also, and I'm not trying to discount coaching over the years, but I think we have 11 good coaches, and they have good supporting cast around them. When you look at the coaches, almost every team have a you think about you and Duki and Ludlow Bernard and the group at Mount Pleasant. You have the Waterhouse coach. You have Philip, the guy down by Tivoli Gardens, who was it at Stats? I think he was at Stats. Yeah. Good coach. Ricardo Gardner, young coach out in Portmore, learning the craft. You have Thomas down in Arnett Gardens. So there's a good group of coaches in the league as well that I think they are more geared towards even giving youngsters opportunities. But
not only that, but what really happened is that, because a couple of us coaches did a course to get a B license course, which was really rough over a period of about 9 months. I don't remember, it lasted about 9 months. I think coaches are now willing to share ideas with each other. I mean, we could call up each other and say, what do you think about that? And they would share ideas. Before, no coach would share an idea with you and say, we think this is the way to beat that team. But now, we talk frequently with each other about what other teams' strengths are. That way, all of us has to be innovative and make sure that we're on top of our games, because whatever you are doing, another coach is willing to talk about it and say, I know what Speed at Cavalier is doing. So, that makes us have to refine our team even more. So that makes the league improve, that makes the players have to improve, that makes us have to think more. And I think that is what you're seeing now.
Yeah. I see somebody asking, at what age do you believe technical training should start for youngsters? And the next question is, what age do you recruit? So can you merge both of those questions?
Well, when it comes to technical training, see, if I just spend a little time, there's what you call 7 tenets of the game. It's running, kicking, dribbling,
Passing.
Conducting, passing, control, heading, right? So those are the 7. So what the new stance is to do this. If you have kids that are 4 or 5 years of age, yes, you can start technical training, but what you give them to do is running and kicking. So you just play them 2 versus 2. So just run on the ball and kicking at the goal, right? Run on the ball, kicking at the goal. You might wonder if that's football. Yes, that's what the tenets of the game. So and then as you go, you improve. As they get older, you give them more of the tenets to do. I mean, you don't make the ball and those things, you give them more of the tenets to do. So they start to learn to dribble, to conduct, and then running. So then control comes into place at a later age. So I mean, once a kid is able to kick the ball, you have to just decide what you're going to teach him, which part of the technical skill you're going to teach him. So it could be just running and kicking. It could be just running, conducting. It could be dribbling. But you're trying not to teach them too much things at a young age. But you can start at any age once you're able. As it relates to recruit, I want to flip it. I only recruit teenagers or people who are less younger than teenagers. So I'm flipping it. So it's not like I start at 16. No, I have even have players as young as 9 that is registered to Cavalier, 8 registered to Cavalier. So once I say the
because you have an under 12 team. You have under 12 as well.
I had an under 11 team before the pandemic, but I haven't had any since, because as you know, they can't train. But usually I prefer to recruit players below the age, and once you're a teenager, that's my preference. If you pass teenager age, then surely you have to have some quality, like you're a national player, etc.
One of the things I was saying to someone recently is that when it comes on to a Cavaliers, because in the States, right? Like I remember wanting my kids to do join a particular academy, and they wanted me to pay. My sons were better at the tenets of the game than those kids, but they were really asking me to pay to enter. And I said, no, sir. Yeah, that's when I come back to Jamaica, I'll kind of do it. But in Jamaica, what I find is that if somebody has a 7-year-old that they want to come to Cavalier, it is almost like you, as the management, would have to find a way of taking care of that person. While in the States, if you take a child to an academy at that age, you have to pay either weekly or monthly for them to be in it. Even if they come and they say they like your son, you have to pay, you have to register and pay. So there's a charge then to be in certain top class or high quality football academies in I would say probably in North America. Is that the same thing at Cavaliers, or you take care of the kids, our parents have to pay for the register if they want their sons at 7, 8, 9, 10 to develop into world-class footballers?
No, our style is a little bit different. We are the one who actually recruit. So you can just walk off the road and come to our club. We are the ones who actually recruit. And we do talk to the parents, though, to help us with certain things, to help us to make the player a better person and to make the player become a better, they get good habits, discipline, etc. But for the most part, we are the ones who take care of their reimbursement of their expenses, bus fares, football shoes sometimes. When we're traveling to like Cayman, which we go or under 13 team or under 15 team, or we travel to Mexico, or we travel to Europe, which we always do. We fund most of that. We fund most of it. The parents do help, but we do most of the funding for those trips, etc. So, I mean, so we don't charge. And one of the things that I wanted to say too is that the Americans have learned that charging to pay to play don't really work. They have
Okay.
recognized it now.
Because the better players will never go into those things.
Right. Some of the better players can afford it.
Exactly.
That poor kids, their dexterity is usually better. They are better at making decisions because, as you know, the parents send them out from in the morning and they have to survive for the whole day. So the Americans have realized that it didn't really work for them. So they're trying to change. Even England and some other developed countries, they have a two-tier system where they have those that they give scholarship to, those players, and then they have the others. So that is what is working in some advanced countries now. At Cavalier, we don't charge, but we might tell you that you don't have the standard.
Okay. You know, we decided. All right. Atkins seems to be a generational talent. Do you think the right step for him is Europe, MLS, USL, or JPL?
That's
you can't
easy.
leave.
Europe.
You can't leave out JPL.
And let me tell you why Atkinson will make it in Europe. People still talk about Atkins to this day. Remember we playing an under 15 final against Tottenham Hotspur in Cayman, and Atkinson was the scourge of Tottenham Hotspur. We won the match 2-0. He was the scourge. They couldn't hold him none at all. And we went to play against Deportivo de Alves in the Gotia Cup in a semi-final game. So everybody playing for keeps. Atkinson again was a scourge of them. I mean, he has played against teams from France, same thing. Teams from Sweden, same. I mean, it's no different. He was easily one of the best 16-year-old, 17-year-old wherever he has played against clubs with much more money than us, much more development programs than us. So, and Atkinson's a player too has always made the national under 15, under 17, and he has made the under 20 only because there's no under 20 team. So this is a player that is a serious player. He uses both feet almost equally well. His work rate is better than, better than almost everyone that I've seen in those positions. And he can hurt you with the pass or hurt you with the shot. He's just such a good all-round player.
So we can look forward in probably a season or two to see him playing him trade in one of the top leagues in Europe.
Well, definitely Europe. I'd send him for free. If somebody's going to pay me money for him in USL or MLS, I'd send him to Europe for free.
Okay, listen, I will say personally, I would not want him to go to USL. I call USL the United Stuck League. Like when you want to get stuck, that's where you go. Personal, that's me. It's not a league that I am highly fond of for players who wanting to develop and take their career further. I think it's a league that when you feel like giving up on the prospects of going higher, you go there. But for developmental purposes, I don't think it is the best step. That's me personally. I'd prefer the MLS, but I would say like an Atkinson, I'd do everything to get him into Europe. You understand? But I see here, which is something I've been suggesting long time, which is to take when a talent is spotted, can some of these guys be taken out of competitive high school football? They can still complete their high school education, but instead of playing, why they have to play money? What is it like? Why after you play a couple of seasons, like Alex Marshall, and I always use him because I played at St. George's when I saw him, I think in his first year in fifth form. I don't think he should have gone back to play anymore because he had already dominated, shown his class. He could have gone back to school, but I think from that point, he should have been fully thrown into the Premier League, developing the strength and the guile and all of those things. Or be sent away. The question is down that part, Mrs. Why do we keep leaving these talented players?
I agree with the formula sports. But I can give some examples, right? Chevron Marsh, Kaim Paris, Jamai Topi, Niku Daly. Those players did not play the final year of schoolboy football. They said they're not going back to school. all those players get professional contracts overseas in their teens. Alex, as you just thought, he got his first professional contract like at about 22. I just believe it's a mistake for players not to consent after assessing how good they are in school and sports. They should realize that they need to be in some professional setup from the age of about 17, 16, 17, for them to become veteran in the league at 20 or 21. And that is how I think, or maybe even 19 or 20, they will become a veteran if they're playing for 3 years. Now, when you're a veteran, with all of those youthful exuberance and power and stamina and rearing to go and adrenaline running, you can see how persons would want to get those players overseas to come into their club. But if you become a veteran at 24 because you started to play at 20 or 21, it's a joke. And that is why I'm agreeing with the Formula Sports. Say, yeah, once you get good and you're really good, you should pursue your career. I mean, playing schoolboy football is fine, but a lot of the teams only have some 15 and 16-year-olds you're playing against. So what is that? You don't get to improve, you don't get to develop. The person that you're training with, even at your school, you're already the best person there. You still don't get to develop any further. But for you to tell a kid's mom that the boy is to stop play for the school, when the principal and the coach and every teacher start to call the kids mom, it's just tremendous pressure on the youth, and that is why they go back and play. So for you at the club, you'd have to convince them that going to a private school, as for Rashford in the UK. Remember, he was going to school and he was playing for Manchester United, but he went to private school. He didn't go to public school where he would come under that pressure to play for the school. So something like that would have to be worked out. But I agree 100% that if you are going to become a professional footballer, don't waste your time play the final year of whatever, and don't waste your time going to junior college, because you're really just wasting your time if you want to become a professional.
Yeah, and that is it. Listen, I don't want when a scout come and say, hey, and you tell him that, hey, I have a 16-year-old, he's very good, and ask, which club him play for? No, man, he's still playing high school. Who is going to want to start no contract? That is why I think sometimes they end up going on trials more so than signing a contract. Yeah,
yes,
because
trials don't work.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, majority of Jamaicans that go for trials, I'm sure 95% of them come back. Usually, the person look at you and sign you. That's the better option. But
exactly,
when we show people schoolboy highlights, I'm quickly embarrassed. I don't even show them anymore because I say, what is that? I really don't know what name school.
So, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, man.
Why is all this ask a question?
Anything lined up in terms of overseas transfer, any of your young talent?
People from all, what you call it, from Italy ask me about Atkins.
Whoa.
Let's see. No, we have people asking us about our players all the time. One of the things with Cavalier is not a local brand. We remember we play all over the world. We were the youngest professional team in CONCACAF and number 9 in the world the last time we played a competition. So people know of us, and then we have slowly spread some talent in Europe. Kaim Paris who has just got the MVP and golden boots in his league over there, so people start to see that talent. You have Alex Marshall, who is the franchise kid in his club in Canada. Nicholas Hamilton is also there. Nikhil Dale is the MLS scorer double just the other day. So, Chevron Marsh is now in Costa Rica. He moved from El Salvador. So, people start to understand what we're doing and understand that we can produce quality player. And as I said before, Atkins is really, based on his all-round ability, is really one of the players who will easily adapt to a European structure because of his work rate, of his versatility. He can work a lot of different ways. And that's a serious young man when it comes to his football.
So he's a Jamaican Angola Conte.
No, not a Kante. Kante don't have his skill. Kante, he's much more skillful than Kante. He's more like a
Okay,
Ryan
okay.
Sterling
But
type.
I'm the same. Oh, more arrived Sterling. Okay, I was wondering about his industry because he seemed to be very, his work ethic in terms of on field is very high work ethic
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, man. Okay. Did we see that one? I tell you when you come on, I mean, there's always so many comments. I can't keep up with them. Um, how long do you think it will be before we see Club Youth League up and running so your youth team can get more? Well, the truth is, you can ask Mr. Speed about his youth team because his youth team plays the Premier League. Because which is
Exactly.
which is probably
We,
for the
we
other
won't,
clubs it should apply.
yeah, I won't be able to tell you that because the government is being very cautious. I think though, once we are able, one of the problem is trying to spread out football among all the communities because the cost to test every day or every week is just too much. I think the Premier League struggles to afford it. I think Manning Cup will be able to struggle to afford it too. But I don't think we'll be able to afford it to play, youth league at that level. So unless the situation improves, I am going to honestly say outside of the Manning Cup that might get some permission. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see us probably playing any football till next year. I mean,
Well,
mass football till next year. I'm
what's the name of
hoping it
this?
is earlier because we need the development. Because youth football would have not played for 2 years, which is not good. So I have to just keep my fingers crossed. I don't have an answer.
This channel name I am sure sports. So watch this, See, by October, the ending of October, look out for some schoolboy football.
I hope it's true.
Yeah. Ending of October, look out for some schoolboy football. All right. Yeah, man. But that's a good question. Do you personally coach all these youth teams, or is it a delegated task? How many coaches? Maybe we should ask you. How many coaches do you have on?
Cavalier, we have
Yeah.
four coaches. We have David Layla, Colin Wilson, and Everdeen Scarlett, and myself. So
Okay.
four of us coach all the teams. One of the reasons why we do that
Including the
is for the
female team,
seamless
or you have?
transition of the players from 13, 15, 17. They play the same style, and so we're able to just pick out a kid from 16 and just drop him in a position in our senior team. So one of the reasons why I think you're asking that question is because we have somebody running around talking about the head cook and buckle washer, which is just a joke. Cavalier is one of the most organized club. Ryan Foster is our chairman. Andrew Thomas is the president. We have two secretaries, two lawyers as our secretaries. We have a chartered accountant as our accountant. Chad Cunningham is the general manager. We have all of those people. We have a scout. Cavalier have the only certified scout in Jamaica, in the Caribbean. We have the only certified scout in
As
the
a
Caribbean.
club. As a club.
Yes, I don't know if the rest of them certified, but I know we have the only certified scout in Jamaica, and I think it extended to the camp. I'm talking about a trained scouting. I'm talking about people that send them as a scout. We have administrator, we have driver, we have everything that we employ.
Yeah, well, listen.
So when the clown talk about Cavalier, I'm the head cook and buckle washer. We are the most organized club, I think, in Jamaica at this particular point.
I run a club,
and those people are all professionals who work with us.
Yeah, but I run a club, and sometimes people say that. But when you see something running effectively, it cannot be one person. When you see a football club having the kind of success for so many years, having so many overseas trips, having people, it cannot be one person. But what happens, because one person is the face of that club,
Correct.
most time people will think if it is that person. But I always tell people a part of leadership is legacy. At the end of the day, Mr. Speed supposed to can up and move and everything flow seamlessly.
And that I can do. So I'm the sporting director. So I'm in charge of a technical area, and I'm in charge of certain things too, like trying to get my players to go overseas or negotiate contracts with them, etc. But there's a lot more things that the club do. We have we have a marketing person. I forget. I hope you don't kill me if I'm watching. So like our academy, when we have academy league, we have a whole different branch of persons who run the academy leagues. Of course, I'll be there because I love football and I'll watch. You know, there's one youth team that is dear to me. So that is the youth team that I coach all the time. Is the under 17, because I have a little bias to say that at under 17, I know if you're going to make the senior team or not. So I always coach the under 17 personally. But the 13 and the 11 and the 15 and the 20, not me. But I'm there. But it's not.
And the female team you out, because people forget that you have also have a female team that does well as well.
Yes, I have a female team that, you know, it's probably the second best female team in the country. It's young again. We use up to 4 kids, you know, girls that young as 14, 15 years of age. And it's just a cavalier story to use these young players. I mean, I'm tempted to play a 15-year-old in the Premier League this year, so you might just see him run. So let's see what happens.
All right. You're right. Some coaches just is saying that when the players go on trial, I don't like this trial thing. If you want my player on trial, listen. Let me keep him, and when he impresses you, you send back for him. I don't need him to go on trial, because you're trying to tell me that you see something in him, but you're not sure. If you're not sure, let me go and work with my player, because I'm looking to. I can't understand what is the reason behind trials. It's not something that I fully comprehend as to why. If you believe the player is good enough, why does he need to come and prove himself? It shouldn't have to be.
The problem with trials, you see, is football is a business, and sometimes you have some hand-on business. So your players, so like when you go trials and 10 players is there, how you know they're going to take your player? Because it could be just a preference, and they leave your players out even though your player is good enough. It could be that Jamaican players, we're not so polite. We don't look people in the eyes and say, yes, trust me, I have it, coach. You know, we're going to put your head down, and the coach is wondering if I can put my career in somebody's hands who wouldn't even look me in the eye. So, and while a person from other countries who is more developed, they'll look the coach in the eye and say, coach, you believe me, I have it. So, I mean, I'm just giving you an example. So,
yeah, man.
A lot of reasons, not the football, why the player don't make it on trials, you know, is because of everything else, social, they make up everything else. So what happened when somebody, so like a lot of my players that go overseas, in the first instance, I have to just say, okay, I'll give you a loan for free, but I retain ownership and until the person prove themselves, because I'm not willing to invest in an unknown quantity. Now that I have known quantity, I can easily say, oh, well, you have that player A, I have one that is better than player A. And they will say, really? And I say, yeah, I have one that is better than player A. So it's easy to start a conversation now because, you know, the quality is known up front.
Yeah. All right. Could it be possible for Cavaliers to have different All-Ireland trials during preseason and use media platform to promote it, to cast a wide net to catch as many? Him say him have a scout already. Him have a scout already.
Listen to me carefully. I have 2 scouts and they go all over Jamaica and scout, right? One is more in the corporate area and one is in the rural area. I have 2 scouts I get paid to scout. I don't have to go anywhere.
Hey, I scout fine, but I don't get people. I scout but I don't get paid.
And I'm polite, I take the calls. But I can't manage all of the people that call my phone. I don't want to have any I don't want to have any trials, trust me. But one of the things though, seriously about us, we don't necessarily have to get the best players. A lot of people just think we get the best players. No, it's not true. When they come to us is the development process, because we have a good system to develop players. It's not the best players we get. I was listening to the commentator just the match. You know, they were struggling to call the players' name. They just didn't know anybody on my team. Remember, you know, this is a team that lost.
No, man, really? They don't know. No, obviously they don't watch schoolboy football. Ming was a good player at, I think, is it St. Diego? Ming.
But remember, you know,
Ming is a big player. Atkins is a big player. Murray. No, man, the commentators not watching schoolboy football.
No, but what they are used to at Cavaliers, Alex Marshall, Nicholas Hamilton, Kaim Parrish, Chevon Marsh, Nicky Daly, Jamai Tope, So like more than half of the players, they just reeling off those names. JD in White. So now they come and all of those players gone. They don't really know the players. But,
Okay, that's what I mean. But if they watch schoolboy football, they would realize that a lot of these guys, play some good schoolboy football. So what inspired you to make this decision to focus on youth at the inception of taking over Cavaliers? Why did you choose to promote youth?
No, initially, it wasn't. I didn't choose the. Well, initially that wasn't the case. Initially, we were like every other team. We just picked the best players that we thought at the point.
With Layla and Loxley, all of them old man there.
Right. We just picked some players. So what happened in 2011? A lot of people don't know this about Cavalier. That team that went to the World Cup, that under-17 national team, we had 9 players on the team. And against France, all 9 players was on the field. That should be a record somewhere. But we were not able to keep those players at Cavalier because of different reasons. They went to college. Some of them thought they were bigger than the club now. Different reasons. We didn't even collect a cent. That team, our players played against Paul Pogba and Kurt Zuma against France. We drew the match 1-1. And the rest is history, right? So our intention was for that set of players to come up and represent Cavalier, just never materialized. So what happened? We kept on using big men playing. We won Super League 3 times. We come up to Premier League, and then we got relegated in 2014 or 15. I can't remember which year. I remember having all of these contracts in my hand with older players, and I know I can't afford to pay them for the Super League season. So, I started to offload the older players, over 25 because they wanted to leave. They wanted to go and play Premier League. So I said, okay. Then I had about 4 or 5 really good players who were very young, Ryan Miller, those type of players. And I said, and Jenkins, they wanted to leave too.
Yeah. What happened to Ryan Miller, man?
So I'll pay your salary. So what I did was really that was the time I decided to stay young. So then I had Nicholas Hamilton, and then I brought in all those youngsters, Nicky. Those players wasn't playing anywhere. No Premier League team would look at. So that is how I brought them in Paris, and then we started,
All right, look like it's a speed of a phone call coming in. So yeah, man, but he will get back to answering the question
about these players. And Jerome said to me, say, Coach, don't sign nothing. They have to play, and that was what I did. I just kept the young players, and from that, I realized that is the way to go. I'm able to keep them happy, comfortable. Their demands are not as much, and the rest is history. And I've stuck with it since we came up. So it's about 4 years now. We decided to stick with this formula.
Yeah. Somebody reminded me that Ming went to Bridgeport, but he was always a good player. Yeah. And
Ming was from Bridgeport. As I said before, I got him when he was about 18. He didn't come up through the ranks, but as I said before, once you're a teenager, I'm willing to give you an opportunity.
Yeah. And somebody saying why we don't teach the players what is required to meet international standards.
But that's what we do at Cavalier. Why you think so much of them gone overseas? Cavalier is the team that produced the most youth national players for the last about 8 years, last about 10 years. We have produced the most youth national players for Jamaica.
Even more than our view?
Yes. Remember I told you that in one team we had like 9 players now. We have always had 5, 6 players in every. Even the last under-20 team that played, that almost qualified for the World Cup, we had 6 starters. 2 of Jadine, Rochester, Niku, Paris. All those players were players that was playing in that team. We had also a reserve goalkeeper. Yeah, man, we always fill up those things with our players.
All right. I think long passing and ball control seem to be a prominent problem with our players. What do you think is the reason for this?
My players always have touch. That's not a problem for us. Long passing, we're not a fan of that. But I don't know why.
I think it's coaching style. Like, let me give it.
It is a weapon, It is a weapon if you know to use it, but it's not something that you want to practice because good defenders will always track down those.
And let me tell you, like, somebody just responded saying coaching, which is the issue. Different coaches use different style. And I will give you a good example. Mount Pleasant, for example, in the game that they played, Ladell Richie made 6 diagonal passes. Up front, he had Kemar Beckford. He's a very good passer from out of the back. I'm going to give him that, right? He has Kemar Beckford, Cardell Benbow, and Daniel Green, all right? He's playing against a Tivoli Gardens team that has the captain, forgot his name, but very Barrington Price. Very big, strong, very big, strong center back, very aggressive, good. Why were they playing so many diagonal passes when Benbow is very good at taking on players running down the channel? So sometimes when you see these things, it's not the players want to do it. It's just how they are probably prepared by their coaches. Because at the end of the day, good players follow instructions, you know.
I don't understand you, you know, management. Because guess what?
Yeah.
If we look at pound for pound, or you know, your team that you're complaining about, so I have a pro licensed coach there, and so a licensed coach.
Well,
I think you are the problem because if them have all of this talent down there as a coach, them shouldn't be having it. Mind you now, the game right now, you know.
You need to take off the glasses. I know I say take off the glasses. But I'm saying that I can understand when you have, all right, Rankin is a very good, from Cavaliers, good at passing the ball. But they're playing, they bypass the midfield. Kevin Isaacs passes the ball on the ground, but they're bypassing the midfield. I'm saying that good football players follow the instructions of their coaches.
So with Rankin, I won't give away the plot. But you have to know if you use Rankin for making. You see how good he was when he's playing for Cavalier. There's something special about him, but you have to know what it is. I don't think they figure it out yet.
Yeah, so that's what I think. I don't think long passing is. I think it's a coaching. It's a coaching, and maybe this coach is coming out. The pro license coach that Mr. Speid speak of is coming from a place in Europe, and that place in Europe like playing long ball. Maybe that's where that philosophy is from. I don't know.
Your philosophy wrong.
No man. Listen, when my team play, we don't do that. The problem with my team down here is that they always say that we keep passing ball and not scoring. You understand me? That was the issue.
yeah, try to be like Pep.
There you go. But fiscally and financially, is your current club setup sustainable, or is it another case that if Mr. Speid leave, Cavaliers disappear? Good question.
It look like you never wasn't listening to me. You see him, it could come back to watch an argument. This, you know.
So this argument is coming from
Ryan
somewhere.
Pastor, Chad Cunningham. I've surrounded Cavalier, asked people to come on board, not just to work. They have shares in the club. And I've surrounded the club with all of these people who is a financial entity for them. So I am not leaving though. I'm not leaving and going anywhere. So, but they have all of these professional persons, chartered accountants, lawyer, and they have shares and companies investing in our club. So we're really putting on the track so that don't happen. I know I have to leave for true eventually, but that not supposed to happen. It won't happen, and I'm just hoping that the people have the same philosophy if I move on. But the club by itself, you know, it was from 1st of August 1962 and Independence Day. I was still here strong and running. I don't expect it to go down if I leave.
Yeah, and it's a good transition from Leighton Duncan all the way down to you. It's a club that I've always admired in terms of, because even when Leighton Duncan was there, Cavaliers always had the same black and white and seemed very organized. From I've known them. But why I mean, seeing that you have such a good structure, based on what you have said, you're financially viable, why you're not on the junior stock market?
Yeah, we thought about it, but we don't know if we have to do that because we are just thinking that as soon as the the world settled back down, there'll be new frontier to conquer. All of a sudden, there's a spotlight on Jamaica because of the amount of foreign-based player who wants to play your top quality player. So we just believe that in the near future, instead of us selling players for $10,000 and $20,000, we're going to be back up there where we may be able to ask in the millions for our players. So basically, the stock market would have been for us to expand our infrastructure. I couldn't be fit for money to pay players. And we thought about it, we think about it a lot. It's possible, but at this particular time, sometimes you have to wonder if infrastructure is necessary. Probably you need to do like AC Milan or Inter Milan and just get the government facilities because it's actually much cheaper than to have your own at this particular point.
Yeah. But what I think one of the good things with your club is that I don't know what the cost is for using the stadium is, but because of the style of play that you guys use, using that venue works for you. Though you have been there for many years, it's more marketable in terms of ground. Because if you, for example, have season ticket holders and the club's taken a new marketing when you start going there, you already have a good ground to use, seating capacity is good for the cameras, which I think is probably better than going to build something somewhere else, especially in the corporate area at this time. So maybe this is the way to go.
No, I think so. I mean, in a lot of developed countries, is the government deal with the facilities that you play at. You just book it. I think we are into a good thing because we don't have a big budget. Also, people might not realize that Cavaliers is one of the most loved club in Jamaica. It's everybody's second team. So they pick a team first, like you management. Yeah, I know say you have Mount Pleasant first, but then a Cavalier after your team, right? And that is what we find all across Jamaica. Until up to last year, we had the biggest social media following of all clubs, which was kind of surprising to the point that remember our spectator base is not big. Our spectator base, diehard spectators, is probably about 400 persons.
Yeah, man, you have more followers.
But we have the biggest.
If you have more followers than Mount Pleasant.
Yes, but we have more followers on our social media than everybody else, which is what really was surprising to us.
Whoa.
Yes, I agree that Premier League should continue playing in good at the best grounds. Best, yes.
Yeah, and I think you
answered
really
that earlier. Embarrassed some of the time when I see where our product is being played, and it shouldn't be playing on some of those fields. So I agree with you 100%.
All right,
I'm going to. It's a democracy, so I don't know if next year the people are going to vote for that term.
Yeah. Well, I think so too. But like I said, that it is. I think it is more viable. I think Arnett Gardens, Tivoli playing in the National Stadium. And you have 3 games, a triple treat on certain weekends will garner more money. There are some people who are not going to travel to Tivoli or Arnett Gardens to watch the game. So if you
don't say that about Arnett Garden get everybody come there. Tivoli is really a nice place to go.
No man, follow me now.
It is more a phobia than anything else to go to those
But
places.
the phobia is real. What I'm saying, no, I have gone there, but I am saying that when there are certain people, we know that, and we watch football, there's an 18-year-old who have a car. If him tell him mother say, I'm going to watch a Premier League game, and him say, where's the match being played? Right? Down at Tivoli, can I borrow your car? Most parents uptown will tell them no. If you tell them, like, mommy, that triple treat playing at the stadium today, 3 games playing at the National Stadium, and I want to borrow your car to go. I'm saying that it becomes more marketable, right? That's all I'm saying. I know that people.
No, man. I agree with you. But I was just making a point that those communities are some of the safest places you can find during a football game. That's the point I was making.
That is true. And diehard people like me go wherever the football playing. But the fringe people, you know what I mean. All right. Let me just jump down to coach's desk question. He says, in your estimation, is the squad that is after the Gold Cup able to win? And then he says, give reason for your answer.
No comment, coach's desk.
All right. There you go.
Premier League.
This is the Premier League review show. We're going to do a Gold Cup thing when we talk about the team. But one thing I say in the Gold Cup, people and Jamaica alone are probably one team play today, and only 13 players they were able to field because the other 12 couldn't get no visa. All right, they had to make an outfield player keep during the game. Don't know if you heard that report, but
where was that?
The playoff game between Haiti and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 12 of the St. Vincent players never got any visa, so only 13 turned up for the game. None of the goalkeepers were able to play, so they had to use an outfield player to keep, and only had 2 substitutions. So yeah.
Well, my opinion on that is they know of the fixtures that should be better prepared still, but so it goes.
Yeah, man. This one, Premier League question again. Also, what's the plan for Cavaliers if tomorrow you had all the money to fulfill your goals? And what would the Cavaliers set up like?
I hope that person have some money to give me, because you really like. If I had all the money to fulfill my goals, I would ensure the players that I would develop, right? They would all be playing in the top leagues in Europe, and they would come back and ensure that Jamaica is able to go in at the top 10 of all football national teams in the world. Top 10. That's how far up I think we could go. And then it would become a contender. Contender, I never say pretender or participator. Contender for the World Cup.
All right.
So I hope you have some money.
What Cavaliers need to do to improve to be champions of the local Premier League?
You see, Mr. You know what me think already, you know. So I know why you ask the question on coach's desk. Yes, me like win the Premier League, but I prefer sell somebody for $1 million US. You know that. So, for instance, a couple years ago, somebody win the Premier League. I don't remember who, right? But a couple years ago, I remember how much money I collect to sell 2 players.
Yeah,
it was the best feeling of my life when we looking at my bank account and see some transfer money are coming. When in the Premier League, I would have feel good for a couple of minutes or an hour, but trust me, that transfer to my bank account, the first one I ever get, that was the best feeling of my life. I'm going to
give them a good example of this. Reno won back-to-back Premier Leagues, right? And after that, they still never had any money to run the club. So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know what the budget is, and I always tell people like I came from D1 Major League and in Super League, and the amount of money it takes me to run my club properly. Even if I win the league, if I win the Major League, I win Super League, and get all the money. It don't even scratch the surface of what I spent. All right. And I think the gap is even wider in the Premier League. I'm hoping that this season it will be different. But if all clubs were to come on this platform and tell you how much money they spend on player salaries, preparation, in terms of what they get back, maybe it's different now because they're sponsor. It is unless you're selling players, like I said, Mr. Speed, you lose. You're losing. You have to be, if you're not selling players, so it is better you sell 10 players overseas and finish 4th in the Premier League and win the Premier League and don't sell a player, which is the point.
Better you sell 1 player than win the Premier League. Just what?
Yeah. Yeah. But you think your team, you have a team to win the local Premier League? Do you think your team can win it?
Well, it depends on what happened to me. Yeah. It depends on what happened to me. Let me explain. When I was leading the Premier League a couple of years ago, somebody came for Tope in the middle. I went to the front of the Premier League and they come for Tope in the middle. They come for Tope the same night when I went to the front. I remember defeating Garden 3-0 and jumped to the front and they came for Tope. I mean, look after that, somebody came for Niku. So if I'm able to keep all my players through this summer transfer window, yes. But I'm not sure I'll be able to keep all the players that I have through the summer transfer window based on what is happening and inquiries that I'm getting.
All right, and then he's asking, is there a plan for a Cavaliers Academy?
We do have our academy, but for now, our academy is players that we offer scholarship to. So let me explain. We now have 28 players that we offer scholarship to. That those don't pay anything. I mean, none of our players pay anything, but even although we have other players that play in under 13, 15, 17, and 20, we have 28 that we have identified that those are the next generation. And basically, those are the ones in the academy. Those are the ones that we made a commitment to take care of. So, yeah, we do have our academy, but it is structured a little bit differently.
Different from, yeah.
Can play under 20, under 17, under 15, under 13 because of the mixture of those. It's not 28 in any age group, it's just 28 best player we have in the club. Youth players.
Okay. All right. Formula Sport, I have a next question for you. Sorry. Was it a wise idea to sell Paris to Karka, who did not get promoted? I watched games, he's above the second division and he conquered it. There must have been first division clubs who wanted him.
This is a wise idea to sell Paris if you know what you're doing, because we are not in Europe to be able to shop him as best as people there. In addition, it's not just because a player is good why clubs buy them. A lot of it has to do with who they know, who they trust. A lot of clubs don't trust Jamaican players when we shop them. So if somebody else is able to shop them with their trust, somebody that looks like them, it is easier for you to sell up there. Of course, we protected ourselves. We actually have 2 sale-on agreement on Paris. So after the first year we have sale-on, and after the second sale we have a sale-on again. So
okay, so it's still owned by Cavaliers. It's still owned by Cavaliers now, because he was at
right. We own a percentage of him still. We own a percentage of him still for the first sale, and if he gets sales again
to the second club, you still have, because now you have moved.
The person that is Kirka is smart enough to put seal on their agreement, so we will almost forever be able to be collecting off it. So we do it thing.
Okay. Yeah, so the idea is, and this is sometimes this is what I like, that if I can get a player, if say Crystal Palace said, listen, I want this player to come and be in our first team, and they say we have no money to pay, I'd say, yeah man, take him on loan, because I know if the player goes and impress, it's going to benefit me. You understand me? Because I've heard, don't know if this is not a Cavaliers thing, but I've heard of players not being able to go overseas because when the Jamaican clubs are contacted, the kind of money that they're asking for is too much in compared to other nations who probably can get players from. So I'm thinking that if I'm in Jamaica and a man from Europe in one of the top divisions want one of my players, it would be good for me to send the player and then say, listen, all right, take him on loan and then we can negotiate something. Or if you sell him, then I get a sell-on fee, because it is opening up the door for more of my players to move into that market. So you have to be wise.
Yeah, because what happens is that you build relationships. So people know that you have this top player. So you can call him on the phone and say, oh, I have one just as good. So it is wise to always. So of course, Paris is already being looked at to play in the higher league and also to play in other countries in Europe. So I mean, as I said before, we could try and have the show, but I think we'll work out better off if he's able to be marketed by somebody else except us. Nobody really knows of that statue overseas as Kirk.
Yeah, well, I like that idea too. So you're saying that sometimes for a Jamaican club to market the player, it is not as effective as like a club in Europe doing it. Yeah, makes sense. All right, so there, I think, Naktai, I think you get the answer to that the Cavaliers still has a sell-on clause for the first sale and the second sale of Paris, so they still have a percentage of the player.
And it depends on how the Kirka arrange their sale-on clause. We could have a third sale-on clause. It depends on them, but we protect ourselves for 2, but it depends on how smart they are with making their agreement with the buying club. we could be having another sale on after that.
All right. So do you do these things? Do you have an agent that represent Cavalier players, or is just the club that deals with the negotiation, or the players have their individual agents?
No, what we do, because we got burned by having agents represent a club. The agent just signed the player and nothing happened. So what we have done is to say, player, I mean, if a player wants to sign an agent, it's fine. But we have said, well, from our side, because our sale is two-side, we angle our things ourselves. So in that way, we are able to talk to a lot of agents instead of just talking to one agent. So the club itself don't have an agent. We used to. But the players have agent, and some players don't bother to have an agent. Just say, well,
through the club,
sporting director, you deal with my thing if anything come up. So that happened. So I've been able to negotiate for some players sometime, personally, and so that is how it is now. So some players have agents, some don't. Those that don't have always say, coach. Even those that have, sometimes they would come back to me and say, look at my contract, be to your lawyer, etc. And we help them as much as we can.
Because Cavaliers have 2 lawyers that are employed.
Yeah, we have 2 lawyers. One live in my house.
People don't ask who that lawyer is, because that's our next show. But we're going to take 2 more and then release this speed.
Yeah,
Fridays are love. Yeah, man.
Yes, we have a physical. We have a house, that the players from across, players who don't have anywhere to live, they live there and stay there basically, and the club takes care of them. We have that, yes.
Yeah, man. And then what is the benefit of not getting demoted for 2 years, and then that is it, and then we're gone.
I mean, based on all that we have been speaking about here, you can see the benefit. If nobody is getting demoted, it is easier for you to build. And we thought that Jamaica should be looking towards 2026. The dice cast for the players for 2022 already, so we should be looking for 2026, and that is why that came up. The technical department thought that we wanted to get younger players, so we'll be able to have players in the Premier League that can play under 20 and for the senior national team. So part of it was that. Part of it was that the club said, listen, I'm going to be fighting to avoid relegation, spending money on people that I don't want to spend on, but because I don't want to get relegated. Give me a chance to rebuild. I don't have to spend these money and spending this money on develop people who I want to develop. And it was a convincing argument for the JPL to sign off. And plus, they wanted to spend money on their infrastructure instead of spending it on persons. Again, another convincing argument. And we saw the benefit. The clubs asked for that. In return, they said, we will produce better players for the national team if you did that. So it was a win-win situation for both the JPL and the club. So that is why that was good.
Yeah, man. All right, listen, people, Mr. Speed have to run because it's supposed to 1 hour. He gave us an extra 32 minutes, but in the Gold Cup, we're going to do some shows, and every week after the Premier League, as Cavaliers continue to win, I don't know what his mood is going to be if they will lose a match, but the plan is that after every round, we're going to deal with some Premier League. But Mr. Speed, thanks again. I'm at all the best on Monday, because it's Monday you're playing. All things being equal, all the best. Looking forward to that game on Monday, because I think there are some good games this weekend. People watch the Premier League. Cavaliers versus who? Harbour View. Atkinson versus Chang. Big game, right? Veer versus Portmore. Tivoli versus Arnett. Dumbo Holding versus Waterhouse, and Humble Lion versus Mount Pleasant. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Speed, and we'll speak again. And look at some of the Gold Cup stuff. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Please stay safe and make sure that you're buttoned down for the hurricane. Yeah, man. All right. Bless you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. You're welcome. Anytime.
Okay.
All right. So there you go. There you go, people. Thank you so much. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Listen, I know there are some other comments. There were some other comments and stuff there that we didn't get through, but it's going to be, he's going to come back and sing. Formula Sports, big up. Yes, agree with everything. Yeah, man. Come youth development. That is true. That is true. Karoom, big up, thank you. Nakta, you have got to tell me your correct pronunciation for the name. Coach's Desk, please, people. Coach's Desk start his program 7:10, right? So that is like 16 minutes from now. So jump on, give him some support. Check out Formula Sports. Check out Unseen Sport TV. He was here with me yesterday. You understand me? One of these days, you'll probably see me and Formula on my channel, and we do something together. But thanks everyone for coming on. I know Friday is your busy day. We really respect and appreciate, all of you for coming on and supporting the work. Remember, like and subscribe to the channel. You understand me? Go over there. Listen, don't miss it tonight. It's going to be good. Go and check out Coach's Desk and give him your love and your support, man. Good program. I am going to be here because I said going on. We build each other. We support each other. It is one market. It is one industry. It is one platform for all of us. You understand me? We build each other and be the voice out there for so many people. You understand me? I am Omar Stennett, aka Manning's Man. I am sure sports. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. Meet me on the Coach's Desk later, where I will be in the comment section giving a lot of problems as usual. Big up on yourself, people.
I am sure sports. You know me there, from coast to coast representing. I mean, say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get your sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember to like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment. Let me know what your thoughts are.